I just built an n8n AI voice agent that can actually act as my personal assistant. It can send emails, it can send calendar invites, it can add things to my task management software, and it does it all with a literal click of a button. It works on my desktop via voice and chat and via my phone. So let's check this out. Hey Jarvis, I see that Georgia is playing Auburn in football on Saturday, October 11th, this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Could you send an invite to Dan Scott, a calendar invite to Dan Scott to join me at the game? And then could you also send a task into ClickUp to my Dan demo list to buy some gear, maybe a hat or a shirt so that I remember? And could you separately send an email to Dan Scott politely hinting at the fact that Auburn is going to lose, and I know he's an Auburn fan, but I hope that we have fun together at the game.
That sounds like a perfectly balanced plan for a Saturday evening. A guaranteed win for you and a gentle, preemptive consolation for Mr. Scott. I'll get right on that.
All right, and boom, a few seconds later, we have the calendar invite with the right person invited. We have a ClickUp task that is there titled with the correct description, and then we have an email. So we have the email invite that gets automatically sent out. Then we have a separate email that it was perfectly written the way I want. And that happened all without any of my input other than talking to Jarvis. So if this is something you would like, make sure to subscribe. And also there's a free school community in the description that you feel free to join. And I'll give away the full template here, the working template, so that you can have this on your own. And if you're a business owner who's just like, I don't want to get into developing this and messing around with all this technology, just click the link in the description that says build it for me. And now let's get into actually how to build this and how this thing works. So I wanted you to see this play out in real time. I just asked Jarvis to do all those tasks. Here's how it plays out in the real world.
That sounds like a perfectly balanced plan for a Saturday evening. A guaranteed win for you and a gentle, preemptive consolation for Mr. Scott. I'll get right on that.
All right, I've muted Jarvis, so Jarvis can't hear us. I wanted you to see this happen in real time. So this is a really complex workflow. I have an empty calendar, I have an empty task list, and this is Dan Scott's email, which is an empty email inbox here. And over here in n8n, I have a really complex workflow that goes down to other agents, etc. If you ask for a task to be done that's really simple, it comes back in seconds. If it's a complex task, it comes back a little while longer, which is okay. And then why I find this really useful is that you don't have to use certain tools. If you didn't use ClickUp, you could use Asana, Monday.com, Trello, whatever you use, it's absolutely fine. If you wanted to send a message via Slack or other messaging platforms, you could do that. And once I start to see these calendar events and these things come up, I will actually be quiet so that we can hear Jarvis talk. But it's absolutely amazing. I use this when I'm driving or when I'm walking between appointments, because on the phone it works exactly the same as you're seeing here on the screen on my desktop here. However, imagine how much time that saves you. So this is one of those things where it's incredible once you start to see this happen, and I end up practically using this every single day to save me more time and more money. So we're waiting for these things to pop up, and usually it might be 10, 15 seconds for an easy task and you'll have the confirmation back. This is technically 3 tasks all at once, and here's the calendar link pop up, and I expect Jarvis to talk here in a second.
Excellent. The invite is sent, the task is logged, and Mr. Scott has been adequately warned about the impending outcome. I trust the gear you acquire will be suitably victorious. Is there anything else I can organize for you before the big game?
That's it, Jarvis. You can end the call.
Happy I could manage your preparations for Saturday? Enjoy the game and try not to gloat too much.
So that's it. So check it out. It actually works. So here's the email. It sent a nice email here, and that's perfect. That email there would be exactly what I would put. The gear is here. It's buy gear or hat or t-shirt inside of ClickUp. It's actually there. And then the invite is down here. It has the right guest. This is Dan Scott's guest. It's for the right time. Absolutely perfect. So now let's walk through how this actually works. Again, if you want this is in the free school community. Just check the first link in the description. And how this is set up is it's a webhook. So it catches information from a webhook that will send in from 11 labs. So what you're seeing with the voice here is 11 labs. It's an 11 labs voice agent. I'll show you how to set that up, but I wanted you to see the workflow first. So this takes information, passes it into a webhook inside of n8n, which is a low or no code tool if you're not familiar with it. Then we set the platform here to say, hey, this is from 11 Labs. And the reason why I have that is because once you have this up and working, you're probably going to want to talk to it via another method as well, right? Imagine being able to send this from whatever else that you like to use, a messaging platform, etc. So this allows you to go ahead and automatically build that into your agent, okay? So you get the information, it goes in, we just say that the platform is from 11 Labs, and then it goes into this ultimate personal assistant agent that has a prompt here that it really has some information here with the tools. It describes them, it gives some rules, and it gives some rules around time and dates, which can be a little bit confusing if you have some daylight savings, etc. And then we have the ultimate personal assistant agent set up to use GPT-5 Mini. It has a fallback as well, and this is through what's called OpenRouter, which allows you to use different models. It's actually unnecessary, but you're more than welcome to do that. It can save some money at times. You use GPT for the brains for the ultimate personal assistant agent. We have a memory setting so it can remember the last few interactions. There's a tool here called Think, and it just allows you to think a little bit more about something when you need some more complex tasks there. And then it has a calculator if you ever need it to do just basic arithmetic. But the magic here is it calls these tools, and you can have all these tools look pretty in one single workflow, but it calls all these tools, which are really just other workflows, and they're other AI agents. And I found this to be a cleaner way to get things done if you're familiar with n8n. So here we have a contact agent that goes to a Google Sheet and just grabs the information from the database and gets all your contact information. Dan Scott's information was in that contact sheet over here as an example. Okay, so Dan Scott was in here in this demo. Then we have a ClickUp agent. If you don't use ClickUp, that's okay, but this is an agent that sends information over to ClickUp, and I'll show you what these sub workflows look like. I have Slack, a calendar agent, and an email agent, and I'll pull all those up for you as well, and they're all included in the school community, the templates. So then what happens is it goes down, calls the contact agent, it gets information, and it's probably in this task, in this example, it went over to ClickUp, it went over to my calendar agent, and then it went over to my email agent to do all those things. So it's using all those tools, coming back, using all those tools, and keeps coming back. All right, and then what we do is we have the information and we log that information in a Google spreadsheet, which I have the log up here for you. That just tells you what it did, because you're actually giving this the authority to do things for you without the ability to kind of check before those emails are sent or those calendar invites are sent. So you'd want to know and be able to check here. And then all this does is pass information back to your webhook, and that will get you the information to speak back to Jarvis. So that is the big overall flow of how this thing works. I will go through, in a different video, I'll go through click by click how to set this up if you'd like to do that, but that would be a longer video, of course. I'm going to pull up the agents here as well, just so you can see how they work. So we have the contact agent here, and the contact agent just gets information from the spreadsheet, and it can also update information in the spreadsheet if you ask it to add somebody there. And then it just returns the information back. If you use Airtable, you could plug in things like Airtable as well. I didn't use Airtable, so I could just delete those, right? So you don't need those, but those are there for you as well if you need those. And it will send the information here back up to the main agent, okay? And then we have the ClickUp agent, which is here. It's the same idea. They all have their prompts. They have a basic prompt here that tells you what to do. And then it can create tasks, update tasks, get lists, get tasks, etc. And then we'll go down to the Slack agent. This is Slack, updates channels, messages channels, etc. And they're all just working the same way, which is great because this is modular. If you don't use Slack, you just delete that from the main workflow. Then we have a calendar agent. This is Google Calendar. Works very similar. You can update events, delete events, get events, create events with attendees. And then the last one that we have here is the email agent. So this is Gmail, and it can really manage your email very well. And it can actually organize your email inbox, etc. if you were to change the prompt here in the email agent as well. So that is the main overall idea of how this all works. After that happens, we just clean up some of the code, we update it in the log, and then we respond back, and that goes over to 11 Labs. So let me show you 11 Labs real quick. So 11 Labs is what is responsible for what you see over here. And this is really the interface so that you can do voice or text chat back and forth with your n8n workflows. 11labs.io is the website. I have an affiliate link that's down in the description if you'd like to support the channel. And then also you can get started for free with this, and it limits you to 10 minutes, right? Or 15 minutes of agents. So you'll probably end up upgrading to the starter or creator plans, which are extremely affordable if you're using this for business purposes. So let's get into the back end of 11 Labs. Inside of 11 Labs, so you want to go to the agents tab. The agents tab shows you that an agent that you have here, and you want to be really careful. Anybody who has this agent ID could actually use your agent. And if your agent is hooked up to n8n or other workflows, then that's, obviously it can take actions for you. So you want to be careful with this, and I'll show you how to fix that. But the idea here is you set up your agent language, you set up your first message, you give it a system prompt, which I'll give you in the school community. You choose your large language model. I just left it on Gemini 2.5 Flash Lite. You can change your temperature to make it more or less creative. I left mine here at 0.5. And then you give it the ability to use certain tools that are already built in. End call I found incredibly helpful because you can say, hey Jarvis, you can end the call, or hey, whatever the name is, you can end the call, and you don't have to click any buttons, so it's hands-free. Skip turn, I like this as well. Say, hey, I need a minute, so it doesn't keep bugging you. And then I connected this to n8n through the workflow that I showed you earlier. And then I also have a separate workflow that, it's not worth showing here, but I will have it provided in the school community. And basically what this does is if there's a question that needs to search the web, 11 Labs can't automatically get access to the web. So this will just call a very fast workflow. So it doesn't have to wait for multiple agents. And it actually makes it really, really usable. If I ask, what's the weather today? It'll just immediately get me the weather today, right? So this allows it to search the web, and I have another workflow for that for you. And let's see what else we need to change here. I haven't used workflows. I haven't needed to use workflows here. I tried some and they weren't particularly helpful with our setup here. Voice, you can choose your voice or create a voice. You just do that here in this drop down. If you wanted to create voices, you just do it over here on the left. So the voice drop down there. I didn't really change any of the settings here. This is really important. I'll show you this. The security. So in the security, what we have here is an allow list, or you want to enable authentication if you want to do that. So there are ways to, if somebody has your agent ID, they could actually just end up using your 11 Labs, and therefore they could send emails on your behalf or calendar events on your behalf. So you want to enable authentication and then either embed this code, your voice code, your widget code, behind on a password protected page, or you want to go through some more deep authentication, and that's probably beyond the scope of this video. But if you put this on a password protected page, a URL, and then you added an allow list here, you should be in good shape. Okay, so that's what's there. It's very important. If you have any questions on that, you can certainly send me a message there in school, and I'll help you out with that. Nothing else really that I needed to change here on this. And then in the widget, you can embed this code on a web page. Right? So a password protected web page, you just take this code, you copy it, you embed it, and it's going to look like this. If you wanted to set this up to make it an app on your Mac, you can use some tools that I can point you to as well to be able to set this up on a Mac, but this is really just a URL. But it's nice to have it down there in your toolbar as well. And I'll pull the tool that I use for that up here real quick. The tool I use for that is called Web Catalog. So basically you just make an app and you put in just the URL. And what's nice is it hides the URL bar. It allows you to make a nice little app here on your desktop computer. Okay, and I use that for a Mac. I think that works for both Windows and Mac. And then beyond that, you can just change some of the colors if you want a different color. If you want things to look a little bit differently, you can end up doing that. And then you can modify this main label to say things that you want it to say. This is all just for aesthetics, essentially. And that's what we do in 11 Labs. So in 11 Labs, again, it's just your voice. It's just what you see. It's your voice and the back and forth between n8n. So hopefully that gives you an idea. What we do is we take 11 Labs, and just recapping here, we connect it into this main workflow, and it uses n8n and a bunch of subagents to get stuff done. And then it just spits the information back out over here on the right-hand side to 11 Labs, and it talks to us. What's nice is this is built modular, so you can add in additional workflows that call this main workflow. And if you wanted to use Slack as an example, you could use Slack to go in and out of this workflow, Telegram, whatever else it is, you can use that. And then if you wanted to add or subtract or use different tools, you can do that as well, which is a great thing. So you can just add those in down as sub agents down here below the ultimate personal assistant agent. So if you like this video, make sure like and subscribe, leave me a comment. It goes a long way. And sometimes just having a personal assistant for yourself or even someone on your team can make you so much more effective and so much more efficient. That is absolutely worth the small upfront cost for some of these things. Hopefully I'll see you in the school community, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.